Let peace reign. On the news this afternoon, widow Victoria Briggs seeks justice after killing of husband in Port Harcourt. Police begin move to rescue abducted corps members in Emoha, River State. River State government suspends principal of Government Secondary School Borukiri for excluding children from WAEC exam. Inpatients at UPTH call for quick resolution of doctors' demands to avert looming strike. And Labour Party Chairman Lamidi Apapa to reappear in court tomorrow despite maltreatment. On the foreign scene, 4 children found alive in jungle weeks after Colombian plane crash. I am Constance Mega. We begin the news this afternoon with the reports that the chairman of the Media and Publicity for the PDP Inauguration Committee in River State, Chris Finebone, says activities for the inauguration of the governor-elect, Siminalaye Fubara, and his deputy, Ngozi Odu, begins today. Well, Mr. Finebone, at a media briefing in Port Harcourt, outlined some of the activities for the event. Moving on now. A widow, Victoria Briggs, is seeking justice after her husband, Ebianga Briggs, was killed on 13th March 2023 at his office on Eastern Bypass in Port Harcourt City local government area. Well, Mrs. Briggs, a mother of 2, tells our correspondent that her husband was killed by some suspected land grabbers led by one Mr. Agama Jewel during a fight at his office. She alleged that Mr. Jewel issued an eviction letter to her husband that he had encroached on community land. Well, she said the land was sold to her husband by the chairman of Loloama community.
This Agama Jewel, they came to my husband's office with some people. They came there to engage on a fight, serious fighting. So people came out, my husband came out to separate the fight. That was all. The next thing, the Agama Jewel said, "You held my shirt. He held my shirt, right? I'm coming for you." The next thing he called the guys. They just enter and people ran away. So they were just pursuing my husband. Even when he was running, he quickly picked called the policeman. That policeman, he was on call with the policeman, shouting, "They are going to kill me, they are pursuing me," and they hit him at a spot. They hit him on his head and he was unconscious, and they threw him inside water near the office.
Well, Mrs. Briggs said Mr. Jewel, who was arrested and was standing trial for the alleged murder of her husband in the magistrate's court, was released by the magistrates while the investigation is still ongoing.
They discharged him. The autopsy result is not yet out. The police, they called that they are still doing investigation. So this person still needs to remain there until this thing has been done. The magistrate refused, and he was granted bail. And they now adjourned the case to April 17th. Reaching April 17th, the magistrate did not come to court. These same people did not come, showing that they were communicating. My husband was killed, and no justice. The killer has just been released without no reason. I want the world to know who has killed my husband and what has been done.
Meanwhile, Mr. Agama Jewel has not responded to the allegation. Away from that, the State High Court in Port Harcourt has issued a bench warrant on former Governor of River State, Chibuike Amechi, APC governorship candidate Tony Cole, and former Commissioner for Energy, Augustine Wokocha. The trial judge, Justice Chinwendu Nwogu, also issued a bench warrant on Sahara Energy Resources Limited, Chamberlain Peterside, NG Powers HPS Limited, and Senpro Saroten Management Limited over their failure to appear before the court on criminal charges against them by the River State government. Well, as you may know, the River State government filed a fresh criminal lawsuit on misappropriation of public funds, amongst other things, against the former governor during his tenure between 2007 and 2015. Correspondent Emeka Otuka reports that Justice Nwogu adjourned the matter to 5th July. Well, one of the lawyers for the River State government, Alphonsus Sibi, spoke to our correspondent after the court proceedings.
We asked the court that all these applications challenging jurisdiction, court don't hear them now. When we have finished the trial, let them bring up those arguments at the end of the day. And we were also asking that for the case to properly go on, court should order bench warrant to arrest the defendant since they've not been showing up before the court. So today the court granted a bench warrant against Amechi, against Onyeko, against Augustine Wokocha, so that they will be arrested and be brought before the court.
The factional chairman of the Labour Party, Lamidi Apapa, says he intends to reappear at the Presidential Election Tribunal tomorrow, despite the maltreatment he received at the court yesterday. While speaking on Arise Television, Mr. Apapa said he will consult with his executive to take the final decision.
I intend to go there tomorrow. If one is in control, or if one has authority to do something, irrespective of whether there is politics somewhere, in your own view, am I doing something that is contrary to the law of the party? Am I doing something contrary to the law of the land by asserting my authority as acting chairman of the party? What type of system are we running? If Aburi, who failed to honor court orders, is appearing at the tribunal with Peter Obi, who is trying to claim his mandate from the tribunal through the rule of law, is that how to rule a country?
Well, Mr. Papa said it is wrong for the national women leader to stand in for the party when he is present.
Whether there was any direct contact with Peter Obi, there was indirect contact. Elders of the party, Igbo leaders here and abroad, we've been having conversations, they've been intervening, but it has not been fully actualized. But we've been interacting indirectly. Even during the pre-court process, my team and Peter Obi, Abu team, they met. And the argument there was that they said Obi insisted that he would not recognize me as the acting national chairman of the party.
Well, as you may know, Lamidi Apapa was booed at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal yesterday, and this led to the refusal of the tribunal to make an appearance for the Labour Party as the two camps presented representatives. Meanwhile, the president-elect Bola Tinubu is opposing the application by the PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar for a live broadcast of the proceedings of the Election Petition Tribunal. In response to the application yesterday, Mr. Tinubu and the Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima, through their team of lawyers led by Wole Olanikbeku, said the application is an abuse of court process. They described the application as frivolous, saying the court is not a stadium, theatre, or an arena for public entertainment. The PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has criticized the telephone conversation between the United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the president-elect Bola Tinubu. Mr. Blinken pledged stronger ties between the U.S. and Nigeria during a 20-minute telephone call to Mr. Tinubu, who is in France. But the PDP presidential candidate, who is challenging the election at the tribunal, said the Secretary of State's assurances of bilateral cooperation contradicted the position of the U.S. on the general elections in Nigeria. Well, also, the chief spokesman for the Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, Yunusa Tanko, said it is worrisome for Mr. Blinken to be discussing bilateral relations with Mr. Tinubu. Away from that, police say efforts are on to rescue the corps members abducted along the Rumuji axis of the East-West Road on Tuesday night. Spokesperson of the Rivers State Police Command, Grace Iringa Koko, tells correspondent Emeka Otuka that a tactical team has been deployed to the area to ensure their safe release. She said some corps members were rescued when their bus was attacked by the gunmen, but she did not disclose the actual number of those rescued or captured. Now, earlier, a man who said his sister-in-law was among those abducted told our correspondents that the corps members were on their way to Port Harcourt from the NYSC camp in Ondo State when they were attacked. He said 5 of the corps members were able to escape.
I asked her, where are you? Just passing there. I said, okay, if it's in delay, that means 15-20 minutes you should be at Choba, then I'll pick you. When that time elapsed, I had to call her back to know why they have not reached. She now whispered faintly, kidnappers, kidnappers. I called back after like 10 minutes. They busy the number. Early morning by 5, I went to Rumuji police station to make an entry. When I got there, I met some of the corps members. I showed them her picture. They said yes. So they found like 5 of them. And they are all corps members. They passed out from camp yesterday and the boss arrived at the camp there and picked all of them.
Well, this comes days after chairman of Emoa local government area, Chidi Lloyd, declared a man wanted for kidnapping and other criminal activities in the area. The Rivers State Commissioner for Education, Professor Chinedu Mom, has suspended the principal of Government Secondary School, Borokiri, Ella Ewo. Professor Mom accused the principal of collecting money from external students in exchange for slots belonging to legitimate students who were to sit for their WAEC examinations. Professor Mom made this known while monitoring public schools where WAEC examinations are ongoing in the state. Now, he advised parents whose children were affected by the action of the suspended principal to take legal action.
The principal, Mr. Ella, collected money from external candidates and used the spaces for the internal students to feed in the spaces for the internal students, thereby denying the legitimate students of slots in the ongoing WAEC examination. Right now, he has been interrogated before me by the DPO. In my presence, he has acknowledged that yes, that was what he has done, but asking for leniency. And I've told him I don't have the power to grant leniency. The principal of Government Secondary School Borokiri stands suspended until further notice. A new principal will be taken over tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. on the dot.
Well, Professor Mom also said he got complaints that some principals were collecting as much as 10,000 naira for maths sets. He warned the principals involved to stop or face sanctions. Well, the Commissioner for Education, however, said he is satisfied with the conduct of the WAEC examinations so far. Well, earlier, some aggrieved parents of SS3 students of Community Secondary School Borokiri in Port Harcourt City local government area marched to the school to disrupt the ongoing WAEC examination over exclusion of names of their children from the exam. Well, some of the aggrieved parents told our correspondent that the names of their children who were supposed to be sitting for the exam were replaced with the names of external candidates, and they also said they paid to register their children for the WAEC exam.
Yesterday, my son called me that the principal asked more than 60-something students to go out because of he went and admitted external candidates. I saw the external candidates. They are in the seat and in the hall writing exams, sir. My children, they are outside. Other children, they are just crying.
Then when I asked the principal, why did my son's name is not appear? He said that the commissioner gave him slot of 480-something to register, and him went with 420-something to register. End of the day, the commissioner registered 350 for him, and he removed the other one that he bring 61 persons.
Yesterday, my son called me that they said that he would not write. Now, my son is outside. They bring external candidates and move the other ones their name.
Well, recall that the former Rivers State Commissioner for Education, Kaniye Beku, said the state government spends over 1 billion naira yearly on WAEC exams for students in public schools across the state as part of the Wike administration's policy on free education. Still ahead, Nigeria Info FM wins big at the Nigeria Broadcasting Awards. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. The spokesperson of the Rivers State DP Campaign Council in the Jude Okojaja says some politicians are neck deep in the menace of autism ravaging the state. Dr. Okojaja responds that politicians give weapons to youth during elections, turning them into gangsters. He urged the government to step up the fight against insecurity and provide employment opportunities for youths.
Some politicians causes of is unemployment poverty. People capitalize on poverty and begin to competition, and before you realize you take to arms and become cultists. The other thing that I think contribute to it is environment.
But Dr. Jaja further called on the private sector to contribute its quota in reducing crime.
Private sector should also contribute in ensuring that people are gainfully employed so that this menace will be reduced to the barest minimum. If they are gainfully employed, I don't think they will do that. So in totality, you don't just blame it on politicians alone. You also blame it on the people in the private sector. In some places, you will see one person doing the responsibility of three persons, and that contributes to lack of employment.
As resident doctors started the nationwide 5-day warning strike yesterday, some inpatients at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, UPTH, spoke of its impact on them. Some of them who spoke to our correspondent called on the government to speed up negotiations and implement the demands of resident doctors to avert the strike.
They refer them to that because we are okay, they've surgery. But they are not this working, only the doctors. When it's admitted, they don't admit him according to the set month.
I was discharged when I feel that I'm not strong enough. I delivered and my child has issue with respiration. I was told that doctors are going on strike. I'll have to be referred elsewhere. But this child is having issue with respiration. He's currently in oxygen. So how do we now reconcile transferring a child that is not stable enough to breathe on his own elsewhere?
It's affecting me seriously. Yes, no, I have not seen any of them. But let the government look into it, pay them normally as they're supposed to pay them.
But our correspondent who visited the hospital observed that clinics, consultants, nurses and other health workers were still working. The chairman of the Medical Advisory Committee at UPTH, Datonye Alicia, said the hospital is still open for services. Now, as you may know, the National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, are asking for more funding for hospitals, reduction in out-of-pocket payments for healthcare, among other demands. In business, a report by the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics revealed that about 48% of migrants return to Nigeria due to hardship. The statistics, which was contained in a report yesterday, featured a total of 2,400 households who were sampled from 6 states from each geopolitical zone. In entertainment, 92.3 Nigeria Info FM Port Harcourt has received the award for Best Radio Station News in English Language. The station received the award in Lagos last night during the Nigeria Broadcasting Awards, TNBA, which is the broadcast industry's gold standard award platform that recognizes and rewards professional excellence and impact on society. Also, 99.3 Nigeria Info FM Lagos won the Radio Station of the Year category and the Best Radio Station Documentary/Feature category. While speaking shortly after receiving the awards on behalf of the stations, Nigeria Info's Programs Manager in Lagos, Sheriff Quadri, said the award is a validation of the valuable content the station brings to its listeners in news, talk and sports, while he also urged listeners to expect more from the station. Well, as you may know, Nigeria Info FM got 11 nominations and won 3 of the highly competitive awards. The award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, BON. And thanks to you, the listener, for being a part of this history. We celebrate you. And now to sports. Teams at the expanded 2026 World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico will be based in regional clusters during the early rounds to ease travel. Well, FIFA President Gianni Infantino said this yesterday. And on the foreign scene, the Colombian military, firefighters and Civil Aviation Authority officials discovered 4 children alive in a jungle where a plane had crashed 2 weeks earlier. Well, President Gustavo Petro revealed this yesterday, saying that the discovery was in an indigenous community in the south of the country, located in Colombia's Caqueta province. On the news this afternoon, you heard that widow Victoria Briggs is seeking justice after the killing of her husband in Port Harcourt. The police have begun moves to rescue abducted corps members in Emoha, River State. The River State government has suspended a principal the principal of Government Secondary School Borokiri, for excluding children from WAEC exam. And inpatients at UPTH are calling for quick resolution of doctors' demands to avert looming strike. Labour Party Chairman Lamidi Apapa is to reappear in court tomorrow, despite his maltreatment yesterday. On the foreign scene, 4 children have been found alive in a jungle weeks after a Colombian plane crash. The news was edited by Onyeka Chinwosu. Mostly cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this afternoon. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity of a let be rain. My name is Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. And do stay tuned. The sunny side comes up shortly.
Nigeria Info.
The hub for information,
current affairs, and more. President.